Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum CS Pro users. Tutorial on how to use blocks. Blocks are a way to group several fields into a related unit. On mobile devices, a blocks field can be displayed on the same screen and the enumerator can enter values into these fields in any order. First, we will look at the tablet application to see how we can work while in the block. The version I am using on the tablet is 7.7.2 and the release date is June 17, 2022. With a single tap on the tablet screen, launch the CS Pro and then Application. To begin entering data, press the green circle. Because this question is not part of the block, only one question appears on the first screen. To proceed, press Next. This question is also not part of the block, so this screen has only one question. We have two questions on this screen, PID and name. This means that these two questions are part of a block. A block may contain many questions. They will all be displayed on the same screen. We have three questions on this screen: gender, relationship, and age. The information in the relationship is pre-filled and you cannot select any option because the first occurrence is only for the household head. Press next to continue. There are three questions on this screen as well. At the top of the screen, it is stated that this set of questions will be asked to anyone over the age of 6. We will look into it after a while. As I mentioned earlier, the enumerator can enter or select answers in any order, which you can see on the screen right now. In the employment block, we ask two questions about household members over the age of 11. And after these questions, the cursor will move to the second household member. These questions will be repeated 3 times because we have entered 3 in the question how many people live in the household. Now we will enter the second household member and see whether the logic works on the block level or not at various points. After entering the name, click the next button to proceed. Only alpha characters can be entered according to the error message. In the name box, we can see the numerical value. Remove it and continue. Because there is no error, the cursor moves forward at this point. Let's look at another example. An error message should appear if the name is less than 3 characters long. To proceed, press the next button. Entered name is too short, says the error message. To proceed, click OK. Enter your full name and click Next to proceed. Enter the answers in any order. Leave the gender field unchecked and then click Next to proceed. You will receive an error message stating that you cannot leave the field blank. To proceed, press OK. Now select male for spouse and press Next to proceed. At this point, you will receive an error message with two options: correct household head gender and make correction in spouse gender. If we choose the second option, the cursor will remain on the spouse gender. To proceed, press the next button without making any changes. At this time, I will go with the first option. The cursor will move to the gender of the household head. When you press the next button after making the correction, your cursor will move forward to the last position. Now change the spouse gender from male to female and press the next button. We have moved on to the next set of questions. Choose your answers and then exit the interview before it finishes. As you can see, the interview was only partially saved. To proceed, tap on the questioner ID. The error message will appear with the options yes and no. If we choose yes, the cursor will advance to the education block.
If we choose no, the questioner will begin with the first question EA number. I will select yes and we will move on to the education block.
After completing the education and employment blocks, the cursor will be moved to the third line to obtain third person information. We will see what happens in the education and employment blocks questions if the age is 7 years. Enter 7 in the age question and press next to continue. In the education block, the third question has an extra value, an A, as compared to the last two household members, because this question will be asked if the age is 12 or older. To proceed, press the next button. If you have noticed, the employment block has also been skipped because employment questions will be asked if the household member is 12 or older. I have two blocks about assets. The first block of questions is about energy sources, and the second block of questions will be asked if either of these two questions is yes. In the first example, I choose yes for one question and no for other. Press next to continue. We have more questions because yes was selected in the previous block. Now we will answer no to both questions in the previous block and move on to the next question. We have no more question this time because this block has been skipped and our questionnaire is finished. Let's look at the logic of working with blocks now. The dictionary structure is as follows. We have three records with ID items, geo, roster, and assets. In the ID, I have two items, text application underscore ID and EA underscore num. The geo records contains only one item, whereas the household roster contains 10. We have 6 items in the last asset record. Now take a look at the form formats now. After completing the data entry application, the forms tree will look like this. Created the blocks as previously discussed. The first three items, ID, EA, and number of household members, are treated as single items. In the roster form, we will create our first block. Select ID and name from the roster, then right click on this selection. Choose Add Block from the drop-down menu. Give the block label and name and press OK to continue. Block is shown in the forms tree with a red icon. Select gender, relationship, and age items from the roster and repeat the same procedure as we have done for the first block. Now your second block is ready. Do the same for the remaining blocks. Now blocks have been created in accordance with the specification. You can modify or remove any of the blocks after they have been created. However, use caution when removing the block. Select the block and then right click on it. From the drop down menu, select Delete Block. Do you want to delete the fields in the block? Will be displayed as an information message. If you selected yes, the items will be removed along with the block. If you select no, only the block will be removed. The items will be remain on the form. At this time, we will choose no. Only block has been removed. Items are still included in the form. You can now recreate the block. Some of my logic is at the block level, while others are at the procedure level. Let's begin with the declaration section, proc global. The declaration section contains three numeric dummy variables, options, loop I, and current occurrence term. OnStop is a special global function. It has no returns value
and must be placed in the proc global section just like any other user-defined function. If the question number of household members is not empty and the enumerator tries to stop the application by pressing the escape key, the stop button, Ctrl plus S, or attempting to exit data entry, the result will be saved as to partially saved, and the save partial function saves the current case as a partially. This line will save the location of the last partial save. For example, if we are on the age variable on the second line, the value that will be saved in the attribute is age true.
I am using the keylist function in the preproc of the second tier tree node to return the number of cases in the file. At this point, if the number of cases is 0, the attribute value is cleared. If the number of cases is greater than 0 and the case is saved as partial, an error message will appear with the options yes or no. If you choose yes, the cursor will move to the last question you answered. If you choose no, the cursor will be at the start of the form. The attribute value will be cleared if you are in the add mode and the case is not partially saved at this point.
To get the universal unique identifier in the preproc procedure for the test application ID, use the UUID function and then use the set property function to protect the ID field. In n_HHM field, you cannot enter a value greater than 60. At the block level, the first check is if current occurrence is greater than the value in n_HHM, then end group. Otherwise, it will continue until the condition matches with n_HHM. If the cursor is on the first occurrence, the relationship value will be set to 1 and the set property function will be used to protect the relationship field. Otherwise, the relationship field will be empty and unprotected. This syntax will be written in the second block's preproc. The syntax for the third block will be as follows. If age is less than 7 years, skip the rest of the question and move on to the next occurrence. If the age is greater than 6 but less than 12, the third question will be marked as NA and the set property function will be used to protect the third question. Otherwise, if both of these conditions are false, the third question will be unprotected. In the fourth block, if the age is greater than is equal to 15 years, the employment questions will be asked. Otherwise, the cursor will move to the next occurrence. If question A1 and question A2 are both true, the assets block will be skipped and the result value will be set to 1. Interview completed. Let's look at the logic at the field level now. The first block contains two items, IP address and a name. The IP field is protected and the sequential checkbox in the property window is checked to make the increments automatically. The first check in the name field is for length, and then the user-defined function is called to ensure that the name field does not contain any special or numeric characters. I have already discussed this in my previous tutorial. In the second block, we have three fields: gender, relationship, and age. I will start with the relationship first. Set the value 0 in the dummy variable. In these lines of syntax, I am going to see if the gender of the spouse and the household head differs. If it is not, an error message will appear with two arguments. I am using the select keyword. If the answer is 1, the cursor will be moved to the gender field in the first line to allow you to make changes, and the value will be set as the current occurrence number in the dummy variable. If the answer is not 1, the cursor will stay on the spouse gender to allow for correction. If the value of dummy variable in the gender field is not equal to 0, the cursor will be moved to the last position. Otherwise, the cursor will be moved field by field. If the cursor is on the first occurrence and age is less than 16, or if the relationship is equal to the spouse and the age is less than 16, you cannot move forward in either case. If the relationship is equal to the spouse and the age is 16 or 17, then you will get the error message. Over here, I am using a select keyword with a warning function. These messages will not be displayed to the enumerator when advancing in the case, such as when resuming from a partial save. For more detail, please see tutorial on error message and warning function. The last check is on the question A5 in the assets block. Set the value in the result field 1. For more details, please see CS Pro help on blocks. Keep on learning and goodbye.